It's Why So Serious here, and today we will be talking about simulacra traits. So, what is simulacra traits? So, simulacra traits are passive buffs that you can equip on your character to gain certain stat bonuses, defensive bonuses, or any other kinds of bonuses. So, in order to get them, you will have to gift a certain character some of these. You can acquire these from various things. There's a claw machine at Cetus Island, you can use the claw machine 3 times a day. You'll do that. You can visit Hopkins. He is near Apophis, I think, if I remember that correctly. You can buy these from the shop. So you will give these, and they give a certain amount of points. As you can see here, it gives plus 40, plus 40, plus 20. And once you reach a certain threshold, once you reach 1,200 or 4,000 points, you'll unlock these awakening simulacra traits. So, which one should you choose? To be honest, that's really difficult to answer. It's really situational. It depends on your weapons, the element of your weapons, what type of content you're pushing to. At the end of the day, if you want to use a certain simulacra trait because you want to, because it's convenient for you, then by all means, you do you. That's all right. But if you want to be maximizing your damage in terms of like PvE content, especially, then let's have a look on what type of trait should you be using. Let's go. All right. So there's different kinds of like categories to simulacra traits that I've listed down. There's DPS, defensive, support, and utility. So we'll run through the DPS first. So let's go over to the newest character, Frigg. Okay, so Frigg's simulacra trait is called Freeze and Icebound. So for Freeze, it increases frost attack by 1.5% every 3 seconds upon entering battle. Stacks up to 10 times, lasts for 5 seconds. Pretty straightforward, So at maximum stacks, you'll gain, what, 15%, I think? I'm terrible at math, so I do apologize. So you gain like 15% increase in frost attack if you're in battle for at least 30 seconds. Now, for Icebound, same application, it just increases the number. So instead of 1.5%, it increases it by 2.4% every 3 seconds. And once you're inside the frost domain, you'll gain Hyper Body, which then you become immune to any type of crowd control. You can be knocked out, stunned, frozen, or anything like that. So which is very useful, but only if you're inside the frost domain. Keep that in mind. Next we have Samir. So Samir's trait is called Trickery and Shadow. So this is pretty straightforward. I'm not gonna read the whole thing. So basically, you gain a stack of concentration every 4 seconds if you don't take damage, and then you gain a 3% attack boost, which stacks up to 4 times. If you get hit, you lose a stack. Pretty simple. Same for the Shadow. It just increases the value. It increases your damage dealt by 4%, stacks up to 5 times. Pretty simple. All right. So next we have Crow. So Crow's trait is called Loner and Silent Night. So for Crow, this is very useful for solo content. For example, Bygone Phantasm and Wormholes. Basically, when you're not in a team, increase damage dealt by 6% and reduce damage received by 4%. Silent Night just increases the value again, but when Crow enters combat, increase damage dealt by 12% for 12 seconds. So that's good as well. Next we have Shiro, or Zubasa. Let's go with Zubasa first. So Zubasa's trait is called Rainstorm and Raging Waves. Alright, again, I'm not going to read all of this. You can pause the video and read the description if you want, but essentially what it says is each time you deal damage, you gain a stack. You can gain 1 stack per 1 second. Each stack increases your attack by 0.5%, which stacks up to 15 times. The effects last for 30 seconds, and your stack refreshes if you keep, you keep gaining stacks. Raging Waves, same thing, just increases the value and the number of stacks that you can get. Here, you gain 0.6% attack increase each stack, and you can stack up to 30 times. So, this is really good for weapons that have like fast attack speed, like Zubasa, Samir, as well. Shiro. So we have Security Alert and Red Alarm. Cool name though. Alright, so when Shiro uses weapon skill or discharge skill, increase all kinds of attack by 10% and physical attack by an additional 7% for 8 seconds. And it has cooldown of 16 seconds. So you can use this trait for any other DPS weapons, but physical weapons will benefit the most. So as of right now, only Shiro will benefit the most from here. Red Alarm, same thing, just increases the value, increase your attack by 16%, and additional for physical attack by 10%. Alright, so that's it for all of the DPS. As I've said, everything is very situational. It really depends on what weapon, what element you're using right now. Next, we have the defensive traits. So we have Huma and Merrel for defensive traits. So for Huma, we have Fortitude and Iron Screen. I am not going to read all of this. So again, you can just pause the video and read it for yourself. But basically, each time Huma receives damage, you gain 1 stack of Fortitude mark. If it's a flame damage, you gain an additional mark. Then, once you use your weapon skill, you're going to use up all of that Fortitude marks that you have and gain a shield equal to the mark times 0.4% of your HP for 12 seconds. I think that's what it says. Iron Screen, same thing, just increases the value. So this is really good if you're going for like a tank build. You're using maybe Huma, Merrel, and then Nemesis for healing. Next we have Merrel. So for Merrel, we have Cool Rose and Frosted. Cool Rose, reduce frost damage received by Merrel by 20%, then gain immunity to the frostbitten effect, and reduce duration of being frozen by 50%. So this is very, very, very situational. This will be useful if you're going up against like a frost element boss like Frostbot. Frosted, same thing, just increases the value. Increase the value of the reduced damage received by 25%. Now we have the support Simulacra traits. We'll be going for Nemesis first, which is Metamorphosis and Sublimation. So Nemesis is, I put her in support, but her Simulacra trait does have like offensive applications to it. So after summoning an Electrode, deal bolt damage equal to 60% of attack to all enemies within 30 meters of the Electrode, and then heal all allies, including the user, within its range by 120% of attack. So this is very useful for team play, especially in Void Rips or Frontier Clash. So Sublimation, same thing, just a higher value. You can read it if you want. Next we have Cooperator. So Cooperator is Assistance and Trust. So when Cooperator uses a support weapon, increased healing effects she inflicts on others and receives by 20%. So basically it just increases your healing value. So for Trust, when Cooperator uses a support weapon, increase healing and healing received by 20%. And when Cooperator uses a support type weapons discharge skill or weapon skill, increase nearby allies' attack by 15% for 5 seconds. So this is really good if you're going for that hard support build, especially for Void Rips, where a lot of players are looking for healers and stuff like that. So I categorize the next few ones as utility, since it's not really a offensive, defensive, or it has no support capabilities. So first we have King, cold-blooded swipe. So every 7 enemies defeated by King, restore HP equal to 8% of max HP. So this will come in handy in Bygone Phantasm or Wormholes where there's like a cluster of enemies. So same thing for Fear Reaper, it just increases the value and just lowers the requirement. So every 5 enemies you defeat, you'll gain an HP equal to 10% of your max HP. Next we have Zero. So Zero is accurate calculation and then overall planning. So when Zero uses a weapon skill, reduce cooldown time for relics in cooldown by 1.5 seconds. Can only activate for the same weapon 1 time every 5 seconds. So this is kind of niche. It really depends on what type of relics you're using. Because if you're using something like the hologram projector, which has like 200 seconds cooldown, that 1.5 second cooldown won't be really much of a help. But if you're using something like the missile barrage or the magnetic storm, this could come in handy in Bygone Phantasm. Overall planning, same thing, just different values. So there are a few more, some of the SRs. So for Pepper, when you spend your satiety, it increases your restoration effect by 100%. This one is 200%. Hilda just increases your move speed when you're using a vehicle. Same thing with this, higher value. Bailing, when you use the glider or jetboard and you put it away, it increases your speed by 8% for 12 seconds. Same thing with this, just different value. Echo, when you're in a team, all allies within 10 meters around Echo will gain a damage boost of 4%, but Echo herself is not included. Same thing with Determination, the damage boost is bumped up to 6%. For Ene, swims, climbs, or glide reduces the endurance consumption by 12%. Same thing with Beyond Limits mode, it reduces the endurance consumption by 20%. This will be useful if you're like traversing or something. And yeah, that is it for the Simulacra traits. So at the end of the day, it all really depends on the situation, what type of weapons you're using, what element of the weapons you're using, and what type of content you are pursuing. If you're using a Simulacra trait because you want to, because it's convenient for you, then that's fine. At the end of the day, what really matters is how you play and how you enjoy the game. And that is it for today's video. I will see you all guys in the next one. GG's.